Welcome to Audius's Behind the Beats, Episode 8. In each episode, we'll be talking to musicians and DJs from all walks of life about their experiences in the music industry. From up-and-coming artists to established industry veterans, we'll be exploring the diverse and fascinating stories of the people behind the music. On today's episode, we're joined by the incredible Nick Middleton, founder of Westwood Recordings and music artist at The Funk Hunters. We'll be talking about Nick's label, Westwood Recordings, the incredible releases, as well as Nick's own personal career journey. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by Behind the Beats. Let's go. What is up, Nick? How are you? Thank you for joining Behind the Beats.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, congratulations are in order for your 10-year anniversary at Westwood Recordings. It is a remarkable achievement, and it's incredible, the dance electronic music label that you have founded and built over all of these years. And so for our listeners and viewers here at Audius, I think it would be really dope for you to share your career journey and what inspired you to create the record label.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's 10 years it feels like it's flowing by, I would say. But it is remarkable, and like super proud of the whole team and all of the artists that we're still here, and it still feels just as exciting today as it did when we started, if not more. The story, I mean, I don't know how deep we want to go, but I was, when I started the label, which was 10 years ago, so 2013, I think the first release we ever put out was July 2013. But at that time, I was a touring artist, just starting to release music on labels, but was kind of in an underserved genre, I guess you could say. You know, my partner, Duncan, who I founded the Funk Hunters with, we were, super into multi-genre music, but stuff that was funkier. At the time, there was some genres that, no one talks about today, but at the time, in our world was big, specifically glitch hop. And so there wasn't really many labels serving that sound, at least not in North America. So we were typically releasing records with labels in Europe and Australia. And I don't know, it just felt like, I guess it was a combination of things. One was just a bit of a frustration of feeling like we weren't getting what we wanted out of the label partners we had. And then the second, which is just how I've always been, is just the curiosity of like, well, what is a label doing for us? Could I just do it ourselves? Could I help serve like our own community? And that was ultimately the catalyst, was just like, let's just figure out how to do this ourselves and kind of own the whole aspect of it and have more flexibility and build a team around our own releases. So in those early days when we started the label, it was very much just like an outlet to put out my own music, and it just quickly grew from there.
Wow, that's really inspiring, because it often starts like that, right? You find a need, and you fulfill that need and follow an entrepreneurial spirit. And I read somewhere online that you've worked with over 200 artists over the course of the label, which is just such a remarkable achievement. So congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it was pretty well. Our team was like putting together a list last month as we were leading up to the 10-year mark, just to try to get one cohesive list of like every artist that we've ever released with. And yeah, it was over 200, which was just, super amazing. It's incredible to see.
Oh, it's amazing, because it starts from a seed idea and you're an artist to growing into this community, right? And I was wondering how many people work at your label. I'd love to hear more about the operations and where you're based.
Yeah, I founded the label at the time I was living in Vancouver, Canada, which is still technically, the headquarters of Westwood. Today I've relocated. I'm on Vancouver Island in Victoria now, but our team is still spread out. We've got team members across North America. There's like 5 of us full time at the label, but a lot of other partners that we work with for, depending on what the projects are at the label, but they're spread out across the US and Canada, which is great. And the team's amazing and always growing. And for the most part, we're pretty well all remote, especially since COVID. So there's some nice flexibility there, probably like yourselves, and having an international team. It's so easy to work remotely these days, and I spend a lot of my life on the road, so it's really nice just to have the team available all the time online.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely been at the forefront, the hybrid setup and being adaptable and dynamic to the times. And I think you guys do that really well. Look, I would love to now discuss the album, which is why we're here today as well. The 10 Years of Westwood Recordings. I've been listening to it and jamming to it. By the way, it's amazing. It's such a diverse album and a celebration of what you've all created, what you've created, and everybody, and all the achievements of the artists over the past decade. And I love all the artists that are on the records, just to name a few, like Moontrix, Kotek, K-Theory, Sticky Buds goes on. I'd love to now deep dive into this, and if you could share any unforgettable stories behind maybe some of the songs on this album, and your relationship with these dope artists, as well as like the process of compiling that together.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the relationship with a lot of those artists goes a lot deeper than just, being clients or artists on the label. Some of them are some of my best friends that, I've been working with and collaborating with for even over a decade. So, um, I think that is just special in itself, and it speaks to kind of the roster and community that we have around the label. We've always kind of structured the label in a way that like no one's contractually bound to the label for any length of time, and we've really always wanted that relationship to feel good, like a win-win relationship from both sides. So I think like the thing that I'm most proud of with the label is just to have these artists that we still work with long term. Um,
Mm.
Part of the strategy of, or like thinking of putting together the album was not to go out and tap into new artists or bigger artists or remix artists, and was just really to like get some music from some of the like core people that have been with us for our whole journey. So that's really what the album represents. Sticky Buds is one of my best friends. I grew up watching him DJ, and we've been friends for longer than the label exists. Moontrix today is one of my management clients, and I've been working with them since the very, very beginning. Defunk I've collaborated with on tons of releases over the last decade. So it's really like a collection of just artists that have been with us forever and really letting them do their own thing. So it's super diverse. Lynx is an incredible duo out of Canada who's writing amazing pop music, but we've collaborated with over the years on electronic stuff. So
Yeah.
they have one pop song on the album, which we love. So yeah, it's a really neat like kind of cross section of all the different sounds on the label.
Yeah, for sure. I love the diversity. And how does it feel like creating such an artist centric label, as you said, with your best friends, not only releasing the music together in compilations, but also creating stage takeovers and performing live together?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's ultimately what it's been all about since the very beginning. And
For
we
sure.
all just got home. It's Thursday today. So we all just got home like 4 days ago from Shambhala Festival here in Canada, which is,
Amazing.
one of the longest running, probably one of the longest running independent electronic festivals in the world. But, Shambhala has been running for about 25 years now. And we just got home from being there where we hosted a Westwood takeover on the Friday night at the Fractal Forest and had an amazing lineup all night. And that's really what it is. It's like a reunion of friends and amazing vibes and music the whole night at one of our favorite stages in the world. So I just feel super blessed to be able to do that and have Westwood kind of be a conduit to that community is amazing for us.
Oh, I love that phrase, conduit to a community. And I agree, Shambhala is like one of the top festivals in the world. And I think what's really unique about Shambhala too is like the people and the community. And that that transcribes in the sounds that you're curating and the humans behind it and performing on stage. So it's really admirable. So it's tradition for us here at Audius to play our guest artist tunes on Behind the Beats. So, in celebration of your recent album, we're going to play one of your tunes. We're going to play actually your tune, Freak, by the Funk Hunters and Defunk. And before we play that, is there anything cool that you'd like to share about this record before we launch it?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Defunk is another Canadian artist. His name's Logan. He lives in Alberta, and we've collaborated together for years. I think the biggest song we did together that's on Westwood is called Warnia,
Yeah.
which people can go find. But yeah, Logan and I are always sending ideas back and forth, and this one we had started last year, and it just kind of sat by the side. And when we talked about doing the 10-year album, we were like, let's finish that song. So it's a mid-tempo tune, and I love the second drop. The last drop is awesome. that's
Yeah.
that's
I
my
can't wait to play it. So
yeah.
let's go.
Awesome. Thanks.
I'm a freak, so join me. Stay up all night, you'll see. And dance in your sleep. So stay up all night with me. I'm a freak, so join me. Stay up all night, you'll see. And dance in your sleep. So stay up all night with me. Freak. 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 Freak.
was a banger. That second drop that you were talking about was like, that was awesome.
Yeah, the second drop came out at the very end and making that song, and it's always the thing when you're an artist and you're like, oh, should I just copy and paste that and make it both drops, or should we make that the first drop and then make a new second drop? But I think part of being an artist for a long time is also just knowing when something is done and you want to move on to something else. So that's freak. Yeah.
No, I love it. And like your production chops and engineering skills are absolutely incredible. I was going to ask you, what DAW do you produce on?
So I produce everything in Ableton, but then I mix and master everything in Pro Tools. So I kind of have like a hybrid system. So I work fully in the box when I'm like producing, writing, arranging, and I'll finish a song and get it to the point of where it's ready to play out, and I'll print out like playable versions that are fully mixed out of Ableton for shows. So
Yeah.
we played a bunch of new music at Chamblaw this weekend that I'm working on. But when I'm actually finishing it, I'll actually stem everything out of Ableton, and then my studio has a ton of analog gear. So I do all my mixing and mastering through a hybrid like analog summing system. And
Amazing.
then I use a ton of analog EQs and compressors, and I started collecting analog gear years ago, and it's definitely a thing that I love, and is a big part of the final part of my sound. And I'll do the final mix and master in Pro Tools, and I do a lot of mixing and mastering for other artists as well. And it's just it's something that's super fun. I love the challenge about it, and I love being
Yeah.
able to finish music and complete the whole process all the way through to mastering. Yeah.
That's amazing. And even people say it's like technical, right? The mixing mastering, but I also find it like it's creatively technical, like you're saying, like your choice to integrate analog into your process and choose gear, like that is a creative choice, and it obviously then comes through in your unique sound. Because I'm a bit of a music nerd myself, I'm curious, what is your favorite analog hardware that you use for mixing and mastering?
I mean, it's always changing. I think I think part of what the analog gear is today is such a big argument of, is digital better than analog and is analog better than digital? But I think what people leave out of that argument that they miss so much is just what inspires you and makes you want to go work. So if the latest, greatest plugin is something that excites you and makes you want to walk into the studio and work, then that's awesome. It's not better or worse. And so for me, getting a new piece of gear and figuring out how it works and how it sounds and adding it into my mastering chain is exciting for me, and it makes me, when I'm busy doing a million other things, be like, I really want to go mix that song today. Like I get excited about it. I look at my calendar and I'm like, I'm going to carve out Wednesday afternoon to go mix. And so part of that excitement is just the gear that I have, and I don't know if it will stay like that forever, but it's hard to pick one favorite piece of gear today. But I will give a shout out to this small company from Germany called Rock Repel that is making a compressor called Sidechain One. And Luca Predalesi from Studio DMI in Las Vegas actually turned me on to it a couple years ago when I was at his studio. And we're going to get super technical here, but it's a compressor that allows you to sidechain the audio with an equalizer, but it's all built in. So essentially it just means that when I'm mixing or mastering, I can choose what frequencies to compress without having to have multiple pieces of gear. So we used to have multiple pieces of gear to accomplish it, and now it's all just built into one. And it's an awesome little box. It's like a VCA style compressor, which is, for the audio nerds out there, it's an SSL inspired compressor. And so I use it on my final like mix bus compression, and it's the current new piece of gear I have at the studio that I love, that gets me excited. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And shout out to Luca Pretolesi, and he releases some dope plugins. I tried one the other day, one he released with Mike Dean. It was super sick. So he's churning out.
Yeah, totally. Luca's such a great guy, and he's been, a mentor of sorts over the years. I've gone to work with him in Vegas at his studio with the DMI team a lot, and he always sends me some notes, and I think he helped me get this. I think I was the first person in Canada to get one of those Sidechain One compressors, and yeah, he just has an amazing sound, and he's really like leading the force, I'd say, in the electronic mastering world right now, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, and you yourself are like a renaissance man too of the music world, because not only are you a label man, but you're producing your own music and mixing, mastering for yourself and for other clients as well. So I think that's really inspiring to our audience community here. And let's pivot back to Westwood, right? So Westwood Recordings has hosted, as you mentioned earlier, the most incredible events, right, at Shambhala. You've just some of your many achievements, partnered with Monster Cat, right, for events, done sold out events at iconic venues in Vancouver. You've partnered with Live Nation. Out of all of these amazing stories and events, do you have a particular memory that stands out from all these live shows?
Ooh, I think probably bringing Charlie Tuna into that world with us, and him so like wanting to go into that world has just always been really neat for us, because I grew up listening to Charlie Tuna and Jurassic 5 and was always such a huge fan of his. And then, years ago when we got to collaborate together, that was already a pinch me moment. But to bring Charlie kind of into our world and have him come play with us on the Westwood night, in the Fractal Forest at Shambhala was super special, and just something that I always look back on and love anytime, we see photos or videos of it. But he's come all over the world with us, and we've done Burning Man together.
Wow.
But yeah, I think just those moments are neat and makes me feel really, really blessed to be able to like merge these multiple worlds together. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows the power of community, right? And it must be, super, as you said, it is super rewarding and such a blessing. And so thank you for sharing that story. We love cool stories here at Audius. Now, speaking of shows, do you have any cool events coming up that you would like to plug?
Well, we just got home from Shambhala, so that was amazing. I mean, the Funk Hunters are still on tour for the rest of the year. We're doing this awesome festival in Denver later next month with Grizz called Vortex Festival. But I'm actually sitting today in the Rifflandia office, which is one of the bigger festivals in Western Canada. I'm the talent buyer here for the festival, and so we're ironing out like final details for the festival, which is coming up in September. And Westwood will be hosting a stage at Rifflandia this September in Victoria, which is awesome. And So that's the next big Westwood Festival night coming up, is at Rifflandia.
Cool. And so when you're doing all these shows, like what brings you the most joy from all of this in terms of bringing the community together?
Yeah, I think bringing people together is ultimately the
Mm,
goal for anyone putting on events. But I would say like working on this Rifflandia lineup and bringing in artists like Iggy Pop and
huge.
Paris Hilton, Shaquille O'Neal, like these kind of like
Mm,
I have Run the Jewels playing Riff this year, just like artists that
mm,
have never been to this place, to this part of the world. I think that's like a really exciting thing about events, and like being able to put on something and bring in a level of artists that people in our backyard don't normally get to see. That's super exciting. And getting to host an artist that you look up to and love. And, I've been making music and going to music festivals for, almost 20 years. And I'm still a music fan at the end of the day. And I still get just as excited to go see someone new. And especially when it's someone that I listen to all the time and love and have never seen them, I still get just as excited as I was, when I was younger. And I hope that never changes. I think that's what keeps you inspired. And it's the same, at the label when we get sent a new demo or we start working with a new artist we've never worked with, and your passion for music will always be there, and hopefully it's kind of what guides you.
Yeah, it's the creative infinity potential, and that childlike sense of wonder that never leaves you. It's not an age thing. It's a pure passion for the art and for the culture. And so, yeah, I resonate with that too. So thank you for sharing. So let's pivot back to music production. So you guys are heavily involved, obviously, too, in the music production community. Specifically, you've released packs on Splice, which is super cool to all the producer nerds out there. So, what advice do you have for music producers that are learning their chops and maybe they want to sign to a record label like yours?
Good question. I mean, specifically like around production, I guess I would say to try to wrap your mind around mixing more, because at the end of the day, you're only as good as the product you can show. And so if you're trying to attract the attention of a bigger label, or even maybe just trying to attract the attention of some other artists to play your songs, you're going to send them out as demos. They need to be playable. They need to be like ready to go. So
Yeah.
people talk about that a lot, like don't send unfinished demos to a label, or don't, especially when
Mm,
it's your first chance reaching out, like you want to put your best foot forward. But I think the more that you can, you know, try to understand how like the mixing side and the engineering side works, so that you're less reliant on going somewhere else to
mm,
get that done, it just empowers you a lot more. And I'd say that's usually like the biggest thing that's holding back music for us to sign, is often we're sent music that
mm,
has amazing ideas in it, and it really grabs us, and it's something that we want to put out, but the mixes just aren't there. It's not competitive. It's not showcasing itself in the way that it could. And that's one side. You mentioned it earlier, the idea of engineering is still, there's still creativity to it, and I totally
mm,
agree, because I think that's where a lot of the AI algorithms fall short. If it was as simple as just math, then you could just upload your stems to a computer and have AI mix and master it. But anyone who's really working in that industry knows that it's not the case, and there is kind of like creative liberties that need to be taken in that process. So, and a
mm,
large part of that is figuring out what your sound is. If you think about artists that you really love, if there's someone that's, especially in the electronic world, we really do all sides often of the mixing mastering process. Sometimes not mastering, and that's totally fine as well. I'm not saying like every artist needs to do all of it, but I think that when you're starting out, especially in the electronic world, if you can figure out how to get your mixes sounding to a good point where they're playable, you're just going to be miles ahead. So
mm,
and it is really something that's different for our world, that I think people in the live music world or that work with bands don't totally understand. It's very rare that you meet a band that's like mixing their own record. They go into a studio and record something, and there's a whole team of other people working on it. And so I think
mm,
that's still fine. Like, at the end of the day, you want to just put forward the best you can. And so if you are going to hire someone to mix or master, that's fine. But I think the more that you can understand that process and be a part of it, the more you're going to get like your sound across, and you'll figure out like what you want your records to sound like. So
mm,
I think that's like the thing that is challenging for a lot of artists, and it takes a long
mm.
time to learn. So I would really encourage people to spend more time on that.
Thank you for that. I think that's golden. And I actually 100% agree with you. Because I think, yeah, people can't even look past the mix and master if it's not any good, right? Even if there's great ideas in the track, because it's, I don't know, I kind of liken the analogy to food. It's like you're not going to even taste the meal if it's not presented nice on a plate, right? Even if like the ingredients are top quality, but it's like the presentation which will allure in, whoever you're, sending the music to. And I think also, as you said, like it's really important live, when you're playing your records, that the mix is on point, especially in your world of electronic and dance music.
Yeah, and it's just another thing that's unique to our world and our industry. Like in the band world, if I'm working with an artist or sent demos, you're really just thinking about the songwriting and what's there. Whereas when you get sent something in the electronic world, you're thinking about all of that, but also how it's packaged together. Like, could I go play this right now? Do I need to go invest a bunch into mixing and mastering? And as a young artist, your goal is you're trying to sign, sure, you're trying to sign records to labels, but I also think these days as a young artist, your goal is to try to get people that you look up to play your records. So if you're
Yeah.
sending them something that's not playable, you're just shooting yourself in the foot right off the bat. So if you can get it, whether it's you or with a friend or you're hiring someone, but get it to the point of where you're like, this sounds awesome. I know I could DJ this next to all the other records I like, then go
Mm.
send it out. And that's, there's no cooler feeling as a artist sending your
Mm.
record to someone and they say, this is dope, I'm going to play it on Friday night at whatever festival. I mean, it's such a huge leg up for an artist that's starting out. So
Yeah, for sure.
that's, yeah, it's always a big goal.
Yeah, I'm sure our community will appreciate that advice and feedback. So thank you. So your label has done some really notable music syncs on major platforms such as Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Hulu, Sony, National Geographic. The list goes on. Oh, and there's a really cool sync I saw that you discussed about Spider-Man and the Homecoming trailer, which is so dope. I'd love to hear more about the process of pitching and signing sync deals with the artists on your label and the monetary revenue streams that come from it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a big one. And I think, part of our job and what we talk about a lot at the label is just like what other revenue streams are there. And it's an ongoing discussion. The industry is always changing and we're always looking at other platforms, other opportunities, but one that's, been around forever that today is still such a huge revenue driver for artists is licensing. And so it's,
Mm.
a long time ago, it really wasn't something the label per se worked in. Often it was you'd have a publishing deal or some kind of publisher representing your catalog, or you would, sign a deal with maybe a sync and licensing company. But for us early on, it was something that I really wanted to do and something that I wanted to be able to like bring to our artists as an extra revenue stream. So it's something that we've been, working on for years and we've had a lot of success with it and it's super exciting. And I think, every time we get to email an artist and say, hey, guess what? We got your song in this season of White Lotus, or we got your song on a Peloton commercial or, anything. It's always a big win for them and for us. So yeah, anything you can do to try to get people interested in your music for sync is a huge win for artists. And I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know how how much you want to go into it, but a big part of it is just making sure that you have the rights to both sides of the copyright of the music. And so we always work
Mhm.
with the artist to figure that out, and whether they own it or we own it, just to make sure that we have all of that kind of paperwork figured out in advance. So when we go to our sync partners, it's just ready to go. And oftentimes those syncs that we're working on, they often are happening like in the moment. Like we'll get an email in the morning saying like this song is in the editing room right now. They're trying to place it. Like here's the terms, and we need to be able to give them a turnaround like instantly. And especially for the like weekly TV shows, it is happening that quick.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's
Yeah.
been super fun, and also video games is a huge revenue source for music as well. So
Yeah.
having the stems, having the instrumental, having the lyric sheet, knowing if there's any explicit words, and
Mm.
having the rights and all the writers who are a part of the song signed off is really the biggest part. And once you have that, then you're typically good to go.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really important, like for artists in this day and age, to be across not only the music, the mixing, mastering, but also the business side of it, and know what it means to own your masters and explore those revenue opportunities because they are there. But it's not often educated to the community. Like you have to go and seek it for yourself, and go on a self-learning journey if you're not with a label and you're an independent. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to now talk about the landscape in general of music because I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Obviously, we're seeing like this rise in generative AI. I think you mentioned it a bit earlier, actually, about algorithms and things like that. I'm just curious, being a label owner, like how has this influx of generative AI music and distribution impacted your perspective of the future of music?
Oh, good question. Well, I'd say we're still, we're really at the like starting point of it, and we're seeing, I think if anyone's paying attention to it, if you followed kind of what's happening in the digital art world with generative AI, it is wild to see how fast it's happened. And so, extrapolating that over to music, I don't think we're far away from having some algorithmic software that's potentially web-based that you log into and you give it some parameters like I want to make a house song that's 124 beats per minute, that's in the key of G minor, that has these instruments or sounds in it, and it would spit it out for you. I don't think that's really far away. There's some really early examples of that already happening. So I think it just begs the bigger question of like what's originality and what's authentic and what's currently
Yeah.
driving the industry. And it goes back to the same kind of metaphor we were talking about just simply engineering. We've had algorithmic mastering tools for years, but you're
Mm.
not seeing a trend where the biggest records in the world are being mastered by a robot yet, right? There's some
Right.
tangible, hard to define quality that like a human doing that job imprints on the music. And I think the same will be said of just creating music. We could have robots write music all day and we can distribute it to Spotify. That's
Mm.
happening. It's already a problem for Spotify,
Yeah.
and it's begging a whole new question of how we even police that. How do we decide what was made by a human and what isn't? But I think if you like step a little bit further back and look at what's driving the market, it's fans, and it's fans that are
Yeah.
people spending money on something that they're a fan of. And what they're a fan of now is it's more than an artist's album or a certain song. It's really about the story of the artist. You follow someone on social media and you consume the content they're putting out, not just when they're on an album cycle, like not just when they have a single. Like you want to see what the artist that you're into is doing every day. Where are they today? What airport are they going through? Like, what's their home life like? What are they into? They're at a
Mm.
sports game, they're playing at a festival. And so it really begs the question of like, why are you're a fan of this person and you're a fan of them and their story and what they stand for. And so I think
Mm.
that's what gives me some optimism that
Yeah.
like robots aren't going to just replace artists in general, because that's the only reason, right? Like, why are you paying $100 or $500 for a ticket to a show or a festival to see your favorite artist when you could just put
Mhm.
on their album at home? It's like you're buying into the story. You want to be close to them. You want to like be a fan of them. You want to spend money on them. You want to buy their merch. And my feeling is we're not going to have that same feeling for a robot that's or an algorithm, a line of code that's making music. So that's my kind of like optimistic point on it. But I also think
Yeah.
it's a challenge to artists to be more original, because if you're just copying other artists and a song comes out that you love and you're just making, anytime
Mm.
there's a great tune, there's 50 derivatives of it that come out. I think that's what a robot will do better than you. I think it'll be
Yeah.
easy to say like, make me some more music that sounds like this. And so now you're competing against all these
In the style of
generative
dream.
things. Yeah. So there'll be a greater reward for people that are authentic and people that are, telling their own story and have their own sound. And it'll be more of a challenge for people that aren't authentic, for those people that are chasing genres and chasing sounds that are easy to replicate. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, how hard would it be to download one of those splice packs, feed a bunch of um, references into a generative
Yeah.
algorithm, and then say, make me a new, you know, EDM banger? I think that is pretty
Yeah.
close.
At
I think we'll have that in the
128
next year or
beats.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's very wise what you've said. And the reason I asked you is because you do the human element really well. Like, and you've created like a label and a community that transcribes to these live events with a human audience, right? You just can't replicate that, with AI or robots. And so I really, value what you said, and I'm in total agreement. So thank you. So now we'd love to play a second track from the Westwood Recordings album. And so I was thinking maybe we should dive into the banger by K Theory called Outlaws, featuring Painton. So before we do, is there a cool story about this track that you would like to share?
Oh, it's cool you picked that song because it's it's one of the like heavier, you use the word banger songs on the record, so I was surprised you picked it. But I mean, I think it's just a good representation of us just believing in artists, and like, we always have creative input on the releases, but also just like encouraging them to make what they want to make, and put out the music they want to make. And K Theory is one of those artists that we've worked with for years and years, and they stepped away and had some time off, and Dylan from K Theory is back, and he's just like a machine making tons of music right now, which is awesome. And this was the song he put forward for the 10-year comp, and it doesn't sound like some of the other stuff he made, but it's his own, it's got his own imprint all over it, and it's super heavy. So it's cool that you picked this one. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm ready for it. Let's go.
Yeah, turn it up.
Turn it up.
Normally breaking some bangers, I'm hitting the quad, they got spot a bifida. Our love's like a movie, if you tryna see it, then you gotta go to the cinema. What? I fit the criteria, ayy, we got the direction. 6 years in the making, we coming back hard, so when it's a whole resurrection. They trying to talk with a blah blah, but I don't hear shit coming out the mouth. Got on my hip like an outlaw, spur on my boot like I'm out the south. Keep going till I get that lockjaw, these bitches don't know what I be about. Chasing the paper, don't need a clout. I came for the bag, hoe. From the back, made my way up to the front, put my name on the plaque. Ayy, we on the attack, we counting the stacks, we running the pack by talking the smack, we stepping on cracks, trying to break all your motherfuckers' backs. They trying to talk with a blah blah, but I don't hear shit coming out the mouth. Got on my hip like an outlaw, spur on my boot like I'm out the south. Keep going till I get that lockjaw, these bitches don't know what I be about. Chasing the paper, don't need a clout. I came for the bag, hoe.
Shit coming out the mouth, coming out the mouth, coming out the mouth, coming out the mouth, coming out the mouth. I came for the bag, hoe.
That went hard. It was great. Wow.
Goes hard. Yeah.
Yeah. It is huge. Like, I can imagine it going off live, right?
Yeah. Dylan's such a great producer, and he really he's making all different tempos and styles of bass music. It's hard to pin down. He sends us demos all the time, and I'm always like, wow, you're making drum and bass, and now you're making like slow bass trap stuff and mid tempo, and it's awesome to see how much he like explores different sounds.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. He's like a human machine, just like totally gunning it, ruling the
Yeah.
world. I love it. Cool. So finally, we're going to now pivot to the last segment of the show, and we do what we call a rapid fire round of questions, right? Followed by what we call like golden nugget advice for our audience community. So, are you ready for the rapid fire round of questions?
All right.
All right. So this one is the first question: Shambhala Festival or Burning Man?
Oh wow. I mean, I have to say Shambhala because I wouldn't be here probably doing what I do without Shambhala. I mean, a lot of people probably don't know this, but I went to, sorry, this is supposed to be rapid fire, but I will give Shambhala their own shout out because I went to that festival when I was a teenager. So I've been going there for like 21 years or something. And it's really what got me into DJing and led me on the path that I am today. And it's certainly one of my favorite festivals in the world. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I love that. Okay, next question. Music production or DJing?
Oh, wow. These are hard. I mean, I get so much out of both. I can't. It's a tie. I get so much out of both to the degree of where I'm not happy if I'm doing too much of one of them. You know, like they really like balance me out. There's such different creative things, and the reward is so different from each of them. Yeah.
In agreement. So you get
Yeah.
a cut. You get all parts of that. That's okay. Next question. Spider-Man or Batman?
I'll go Spider-Man because you just mentioned, we had an awesome sync years ago in the trailer with Sony for Spider-Man, Sticky Buds and K-Lab's song. So it's always been a cool story for us.
Yeah, shout out. Tiesto or Steve Aoki?
Oh wow. I don't have a strong opinion on that one. I'm impressed by both of their outputs. They're massive global brands. So I'd probably say Tiesto because his team it's insane the output that they have. It's just constant new music all the time. Yeah.
Cool. And shout out Steve too. But anyway,
Yeah.
next
Shout out
question.
them both.
You can have one video call with anybody in the world, dead or alive, throughout any time, by the way. Who would it be and what would you say to them?
Oh man. It really put me on the spot with this one. Can I come back to this one? One video call. Oh, yeah, I don't. That's such a hard one. I'm gonna come back to this one.
Cool. We'll round robin back. Okay. So now a crazy, futuristic question. If you could design any kind of musical instrument, synthesizer, or any product to help create music, what would it be and why would you create it?
I would clone myself.
That's original.
I think my own time is my biggest obstacle to finishing more music. It's not really anyone else, and I wouldn't want anyone. I have all the things I need. I think this is the thing that artists get caught up in, is always wanting the next greatest thing, and you don't need the next plugin. You just need to get to the studio and make more music. And so I would just figure out how to have more time for myself. So if cloning was an option, I would do that.
Would it be like physical cloning or like an AI digital twin of yourself to do all like the day-to-day label operations?
Let's go with that option. It can do the non-creative work, my AI, and then I'll go do the real creative work.
Cool. Next question. You're on a desert island and you can only take 3 musical items with you besides your computer to create music. What are those 3 items?
Besides my computer, well, okay, so I work. We were talking about this earlier. I work almost all in the box, so I wouldn't actually take any musical instruments with me, but I would take a really good DAC, like a sound card, and I would take my Odyssey headphones, and then I would take like a laptop. But you said I don't need that. I mean, that's really all I need to make music. Is just really good speakers and sound card. Yeah.
And an internet connection.
Sure. And an internet connection. Yeah. With and a copy of Ableton.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wise choice. Okay, let's circle back to the video call question. Do you have any choices?
Oh, this is such a hard one. It's hard. I'm just so into so many different things. So it's like, where do I want to go with this one? someone who passed away, or it doesn't have to be someone that passed away. It could be anybody, right?
It could be anybody. We've had so many different answers on this show. It could be family member, it could be someone famous throughout all time of history, could be someone in the future. But like, what would you say to them if you could have an important video call?
Oh man, this is like I'm being consumed by the unlimited options here. I don't know. I don't know.
No,
I don't have one perfect answer for this one, which is I rarely feel stumped, but I do.
That's totally cool. You can take the gold medal for being stumped by the question now on the show. Because I can appreciate that there's so many limitless options for who you could call and what you would say to them. So we'll now move on to like the golden nugget advice. So what, like, I think you've mentioned some incredible advice earlier, but if you were to funnel it down to one piece of advice for upcoming artists, producers in the audience community, what would it be?
One piece of advice, I would probably say, I think something that's left out of conversation a lot, especially in the idea of like being an independent artist and doing everything yourself, which is certainly representative of my own career. But I think what's left out of the conversation a lot is just having a team. I think that, it's really difficult to literally do everything yourself. And so, whether having a team means that you have a traditional team and you have a lawyer and a manager and agent, whether it means that a team is your best friend, your girlfriend, your wife, your producer friend, because your band members, your team could also be a label. I just think that you still need a team around you, and it's part of what's kind of left out of the conversation. There's like this anti-major label sentiment about how artists can do everything themselves, and you can just sit at home, make music, upload it direct to Spotify, and everything will be fine. And I don't think that's actually reality. And I think if you look around at anyone that's really successful and you pull the curtain back and you see what's happening, they have a great team behind them. And the way that team looks today, there used to only be one option. It was a very traditional pathway to having your publicist and your managers and your lawyers. I think today there's so many different ways that can be built. There's artists whose wife or husband is their manager. There's people who just have one agent. There's people who have agents in every territory. So there's so many options. But what I don't think you really see is anyone at a really successful level with big output touring that's just truly working by themselves. And I think that's kind of like the myth in this idea of being an independent artist today. I think you're stronger when you have a team of people around you. I think you're stronger when you have people that kind of believe in a common goal that want to help you get there. And I also think that like having people that are a part of your team that are earning money when you earn money is not a bad thing. You're all incentivized together for your success. So whether that's a manager or a label or whoever, an agent, those deal structures today, they're pretty simple and transparent, and they're working in your favor as an artist. They all want you to have the most success. And so I think it's hard for people to move away from this kind of negativity about what the traditional industry looked like. And yes, there were bad record deals, and yes, major label deals were set up a certain way, but today everything's a lot simpler. And I think you'll succeed more when you have a team behind you supporting you.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice, and probably like the top level advice for the difference between, being a working professional. You need to have a team. So yeah, thank you for joining the show, and congratulations again on the 10-year anniversary.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sam. This is really fun. And yeah, and shout out to the whole audience community. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Thanks for tuning in to Audius's Behind the Beats. As you may have noticed, we have now upgraded to video, and we will be back with future video podcasts with a regular cadence. If you have any further requests for topics or interviews we should cover, please email podcast@audius.co. Until next time, keep vibing, keep thriving, and keep creating. Behind the Beats is a production of Audius Music, hosted and edited by Sam McFly. Theme music by Caption, executive producers Julian Baker and Michael Cullen.